Good evening. Oh, let's get that scruffy pillow just a very short video actually. I had a comment on last week's. Let's turn these lights on. I'm a little bit. That's slightly better. Let's turn the other one. I'm not quite so shadowed now. It's not quite so dark. So yes, I had a question in the comments of my last video asking how I may turn a hank of yarn. So let's something like this into a ball of yarn. So I have a yarn winder, so I'm just going to flip the camera so I can show you my little setup. Okay, so ignore all of the mess. Emily's decided to bring half of her bedroom contents of toys downstairs. So this is what I use to hold the mini skein, and I'll show you what I do with that in a moment. And it just basically spins. It controls what the yarn is doing, and then I use my little Knit Pro yarn winder. Now the reason that this setup is done on chairs is because the table doesn't have a deep enough lip for me to put these items on, because they are attached by this sort of a clasp. They're both, you can't really see it as well on here, so it's sort of like a little clamp type thing. So there's not as much availability for being able to do it on the table. So let's just pop. I've just done a whole explanation about cutting the knots and getting ready to wind a mini skein, well, any skein of yarn, and I'd forgotten to hit record. I've already cut the knots on this one, so I'll have to show you on my second one. So I am making a magic knot ball using my last 3 mini skeins from my Rosie's Moment Advent. I can't believe I've just spent a good 3 or 4 minutes just talking about this. Anyway, and honestly, that sip of gin you've just seen, that's the only alcohol I've had so far this evening. Anyway, so I'm just going to turn the camera around so you can see how I attach it to my yarn winder. Right, so I'm going to try and do this one-handed because it's just going to get too much of a faff. So here's the yarn winder. So we have I think this is for tension. I'm not an expert. I do wind regularly, but I'm not an expert on these things. And you have 2 little slits here. That is great for holding on to your first bit of yarn, and a handle which cranks. And mine does get a little bit squeaky, so apologies if that starts to get on your nerves. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit tricky to show this kind of setup I have, but I get the end. Now sometimes I do have a tendency to twist the yarn a little bit as I'm putting it on, and it makes it tricky to come out, and it catches. Right, okay, so I think I've got the right end. So I get this yarn, I pass it through that metal thing that I think is for tension, and then I just hold it. I place the yarn through those slots and I hold the yarn. So I just hold it like that. Let's oh, this is really awkward. So awkward. And then I just gently give it a little turn until it catches. And then, like I said, because I don't know actually if I'm still recording when I said, there's some little metal hooky type things on the ends of my Swift, so it does have a tendency to catch. So I do hold it. I'm not tensioning it, I'm just running it through my fingers to avoid it catching. So I am going to have to just change that angle a little bit, just because it's a little bit tricky. There we are. Now, I don't like to go too fast when I'm doing these. If I go too fast, I find that the ball ends up really scruffy. Okay, so let's just position you so you can see. There's the cake of yarn. Oh, no. There you go, there's the cake of yarn. And so I'm about to get the next mini skein out and do my magic knot. So once that's all done, I'll show you how I take it off as well. It's looking, I did pause and just carry on winding, because you don't need to see me turning a handle for 2 minutes. What's in there? Oh, I've still got the thingy in there. Okay, so as I was explaining, I realised I wasn't recording, and I have double checked to see that I'm recording this time. Your mini skein, well, or your skein of yarn, it's usually hand dyed yarn that comes like this, is done like this. So it is twisted in such a way, and then it's tucked inside itself at the end. So I just do that, and I always like to keep a finger or a thumb through that loop, just because that makes it slightly easier for me to separate it out into one big loop like this. Now I need to slightly I just narrowed down my Swift. Oh, there we go, like that. Let's have it. Whoop. That was pretty, wasn't it? It fell off. So I've just narrowed my Swift a little bit so that I can fit this over, and I just gently place it around, and then I just pull it up, not so that it's tight, it's not pulling, but just so that it doesn't move around, it's not floppy. Now, most dyers, or every dyer that I've bought yarn from so far, secure their yarn in their individual hanks or skeins, or however, I never know what the correct terminology is, with little knots of yarn wrapped around. So you'll have a couple, one or two, that is just 2 strands, and I always pull it away, oh gosh, and cut the knot off, because it has been known for Helen to accidentally cut the yarn. So I have got the habit of doing that, and then I just gently pull that out like that. So then I'll go round, and I'll do that for this one. Oh, that one didn't want to get cut. There's that one. So the next one, so these are secured by 2 of those, and then 1 of these. So this one you'll see, possibly, we've got 4 strands. So 2 of those are going to be the little tie like this, and 2 of them are going to be the main parts of the yarn. So again, I just cut the knot. I do not cut any close. Literally, it's just, I cut the knot. There you go. put my face out so it focuses. Will it focus? I don't think it's going to focus. Right, and then pull out the strand that's holding it together. Okay, now I'm ready to attach with a magic knot. So I do like the magic knot. There are other methods of connecting yarn. I prefer the magic knot because it's easy and quick. So to do that, all I do is I lay the yarn over each other. So this is my mini skein. This is the mini skein that's already balled up. I'm going to tie a knot. This is going to look not terribly clear, but it's just a simple knot. There's no special knot there. And then I'm going to do the same with the other yarn. Okay, so I've got 2 knots on there, and then I'm just going to pull them together. Now those knots pulled that way aren't going anywhere, and I've not had a magic knot come undone yet. That doesn't mean they won't come undone. It's just I haven't had one. Have not had it happen to me. So yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and do that with these 2 mini skeins, and then I shall come back and show you how what it looks like on my winder once I've done all 3 mini skeins. Okay, so my cake of yarn is done. There it is. Looks really pretty. So all I do then, so I tend to do an outside working when I'm using my cakes of yarn. So I do tend to push this bit of yarn here from the middle section into the center. So I just push that in like that. And there is, oh gosh, you don't want to see my hand. And there is my cake of yarn. So there's 3 mini skeins there, so you can kind of see the colours as you go through, which is quite nice. So I shall see how much of that I can get done. So I'm working on this adventure all weekend, and Monday, I think I'm working Monday too. No, so I finish on Sunday evening on the advent shawl, and I'm cross stitching on Monday. So yes, I will be working on this as much as I can over the weekend. We are out for the day on Saturday, so hopefully I'll remember to take my DK socks for Simon, and I shall see you again next week for my next podcast. So hope that helped those of you who were a bit curious. I know if you're familiar with this setup, this would not be a useful video, and I can't guarantee this will be a useful video anyway, but I just thought I'd share how I do this for those of you who may have been curious. Okay, thank you. See you soon. Bye.